The reason we exist is because you cannot stay ahead of all threats. So what we do is we block by default.
Hey, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is. Hope you're doing good. Today is March 4th, 2026. This is not the right date, so this is not the right title. So I'm gonna switch it up in a second. But yeah, today is day 3, session 1, week 1 of the rapping class or course. And what we're gonna be focused on today is the material handling, which is skill number 2 that we need to at least be aware about and learn about for the most part. So just give me 2 seconds. Right, there we go. All right, and so again, we're gonna be going over the PDF for KPMF, which is how to handle your materials. That's the only part that we're going to focus on today. After we're done with that, we're going to look at 2 apps that will help you customize your dream vehicle. So that way you can get the right color, or you can get the right rims, or whatever you want to mix up, add extra bumper to it, who knows, whatever you want to do. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and check out this article from KPMF. All right, not that one. So looking at this one, let's go ahead and, in fact, let's do it full screen and do it that way. Boom. Actually, this is in the thing, so. One sec. Yeah, I had to pivot real quick. Excuse me. While I pivot and put screen on what I needed to put it on. It's the browser. Okay, there you go. All right. So the vinyl wrapping system application guide. Again, this is from the KPMF. Wrap with confidence. They have the air released technology that a bunch of them have. So with this document here, we're just going to focus on pages 3, and we may read a little bit of 4, but it's really just a page and some change. Right now, we are just going over material handling. It should be talking about positioning as well. But, yeah, so we're going to go over a little bit. So when we talk about the storage, the VWS ranges offers a 2-year storage guarantee for materials, provided they have been kept at temperatures of 15 to 25 degrees Celsius and a relative humidity of 40 to 60%. So that lets us know that when we are storing these vinyl wraps, we have to be cognitive of the temperature of the workshop or wherever you're going to be holding this stuff. Last thing you want to do is to waste that much money. Let's move on. Avoid direct exposure of the vinyl to high temperatures near radiators, direct sunlight, etc. So this, in my mental mind, is more for a temperatured storage unit, one that has a controlled storage temperature. Will be a place that I'll keep it, maybe like inside your garage during the wintertime. Depending on where you live, the garage might not be a good place just because it might really get super hot like in Arizona or Phoenix. So I feel like in them hot areas, that might be the place where you're going to have more trouble with your rolls. But if you are in a place like Chicago, you can probably have your vinyl in your garage all the way up until the summertime, July. You only have to put it away like a month or so. But if you live in a place like Florida and it's constantly hot, their garage is not a good spot. As far as in a place in your house, maybe you want to dedicate your study to it. Maybe have like in your study where you put a couple of the wall mounts, as far as you being able to mount up something to be able to hold your wraps. That sounds like a good one. And after that, another storage caveat that they're giving us is any part used rolls should be kept vertical or horizontally hung on racks. Rolls should never be placed on their side, as this could lead to large matte section appearing in the whole roll. So what this is telling us is like if you are storing it, make sure you store it completely vertical or horizontally in a place where it's not going to be doing any of this, because if you do any of this movement, for the most part, your images could be kind of messed up and kind of switched or whatever. All right, okay, let's move on. From time to time, rolls may become matte in parts. The softness of the material means that the surface can take on the appearance of the release liner in the next single turn. This is perfectly normal and reversible. The VWS range will regain its glossy appearance once applied to the substrate, car, truck, etc. Although the time it takes to regain its original finish will depend on the temperature. In winter, it may take several days, or in summer, just a few hours. If a hot air gun is used during application, it could take just a few seconds. So again, when we're talking about being in Chicago, summertime, all right, that's the only time I really got to worry about it, because there it's normally cold, and then it gets kind of warm, then it gets real hot for a month or so, and so it could take several days in the wintertime, but when it's in the summer, it could take just hours. So this could be real easy to mess up your stuff during the summertime. It's almost better to buy your stuff like during the wintertime and then have it stored somewhere during the summer, like, because in theory, whatever kind of box truck or whatever truck that does have it has to be cognitive of the temperature, which a lot of people not going to pay for that extra. All right, number 2, preparation and cleaning of the vehicle. This is something that we went over a few times already, but let's go ahead and talk about it. To achieve the best results, it is essential that careful preparation of the surface is completed before wrapping begins. It is recommended that the film be applied indoors in a clean, well-lit, dust-free environment. Do not bring the car in from the cold and begin to wrap. It is important that the car is assimilated to room temperature before beginning to wrap. Acclimatized to room temperature before beginning to wrap. So what that mean is when you're bringing it in from the outside to inside, especially when you live in the cold areas, it's best to let the car get used to the workshop that you're in. Of course, you can do this in your own garage, but I'm assuming that you don't have a heat source in your garage, so it may not be best to try to do it in the cold Chicago area, or Detroit when it's super cold too. Long story short, you got to make sure that the car is at room temperature before you begin the process. So lights, handles, aerials, trims, and any other protruding items should be removed where possible before application. So if you notice, we've been noticing a lot of professionals who take off the door handles, the embers, the mirrors, anything that might be protruding, any kind of extra modified pieces that might be on top of the exhaust manifold, anything that is that could create an inlay. If you can move it, it's best to remove it. Like if you really think about it, I guess that's the reason why people take off the bumpers. Take off the fenders and bumpers if you can, and then after that, at that point, it's clear sailings from there. All right, car wax and polish residue must be completely removed. So if somebody comes in as your shop and say they just waxed it or they just polished it, now we will have to remove that from the car before we start working. Newly painted vehicles must be allowed 3 weeks drying time. So what that means is for the first 3 weeks of your vehicle, it's best to store it in a garage setting, so that way the sun is not beating up the whole time. That's essentially what that sounds like. Clean all surfaces thoroughly using a 4-stage preparation process. 1. Thoroughly wash the surface to remove all dirt, either by hand or in an automatic car wash. In a warm workshop environment where the vehicle is at 18 to 24 Celsius, clean again with a white spirit water mix at approximately 10% white spirit to water to remove any surface contamination, wax or silicone, etc. So they're talking about the spray bottle that you're supposed to have that's supposed to be mixed with alcohol and water, where it's like 75% alcohol or 70% alcohol, 25 or 30% water mix. That's what they have their own kind of thing apparently. So number 3, finally clean the recesses in rebates with 75. Okay, this is what that now they're talking about the IPA. So now they're talking about the alcohol. 75% alcohol to 25% water mixture or methylated spirit. Wipe dry with a lint-free cloth before alcohol spirit has had an opportunity to evaporate. So okay, so one thing, my partner, he runs a cleaning company, Three Kings Cleaning, Atlanta, and with him, when they were doing indoor cleans, they used to have a 4-towel system where one towel would have been wet, the other one would have been to clean it, and the third towel would be another one, and then the fourth one would be to get it with that microfiber towel, and the other 3, it may be like 2 regular towels and 2 microfibers. But long story short, the reason why it was doing that is so that way it's less, like it gets it on the first one, it gets a lot, then it gets another time, then it gets another one, another one. So yeah, it's good to have a system. Let's move back to it. Number 4, to ensure complete drying of the surface before application, a heat gun can be used. If not completely dry, any moisture trapped beneath the film could lead to failure. If it is important to pay attention to the edges, particularly around the rubber seals where moisture could be trapped. So when we are using the heat gun, it is not a definitive, you have to use the heat gun, but it is something that you should do lightly. It should not be something where you hold it and you just keep holding it and burn holes through stuff. It should be between a certain degree, I believe less than 220 degrees, essentially, because it's easy to damage the film if there's water under it. If it's dry, it's good, but if there's any moisture that is trapped, then that's going to be bad. So that's the purpose of the heat gun. All right, the surface should now be properly prepared for application. Cut a piece of vinyl for the panel about to wrap. Then clean the panel once more before beginning to wrap. Cleaning the panel once more after cutting the vinyl for each section ensures no dust from cutting the vinyl is on the vehicle panel about to be wrapped. Repeat this for each panel. All right, so right now we are going over material handling. So part of going over material handling is knowing what equipment and tools and supplies that should be had. So we're going to continue reading. So we're going to go dry application is the preferred technique and the only method recommended and warranted by KPMF. So they only will warranty the dry only method. All right, so right now we're going over their method. Applications should be performed in clean and dry workshop conditions with the surface allowed to reach the ambient temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. A cold environment may make the film more brittle, and application to a cold substrate will adversely affect the adhesive bonding characteristics by reducing the adhesive tack. An environment that is too warm will also affect the adhesive and could result in its becoming more aggressive with a higher initial tack. So the tools that we should be having: masking tape, soft and hard squeegees, scraples and retractable trimming knives, tape measure, heat gun, cleaning, degreasing cloth and materials, basic tool kit for handle trim remover, rivet brush, cotton wrap gloves, magnets, and cutting tape. So that was about 11 tools that were mentioned here. So out of this right now, what do we have coming to us? We have those magnets. We have, I believe, we have the cutting tape. We have the wrap gloves. I don't know about that rivet brush. We can think about that later. So let me put that down. So the rivet brush, the basic toolkit, we have that coming. Cleaning, degreasing, cloth, and materials, we have a bunch of those. We have a heat gun on the way. Tape measure, we have tape measures because we are mechanics by trade. As far as the scalp, retraceable trimming knife, I believe we have one of those coming. Soft and hard squeegees, we have some of those. As far as masking tape, you may have to get some more masking tape, but it seems like the only thing that we don't have that may be beneficial from this list would be the rivet brush. And let's go ahead and talk about positioning and things of that nature. All right, so for three-dimensional surfaces that require the vinyl to be shaped or molded around rivet heads, corrugation, welded areas, etc., some heat applied by a heat gun may be required. So when you are dealing with those kind of funky mixes of, where it's not smooth surface, yeah, the heat gun may be required. The application of the film to a vehicle is best performed by two people. Overall wrapping times can be reduced with the assistance of a third person to remove and replace trims, handles, lights, and on larger vehicles when wrapping roofs in difficult to get to places. So one person can do it. That's one reason why we have magnets to handle that type of worry. But what they're saying is from the initial removing of the, I guess you can call it the protective tape, removing that white or vanilla tape for the most part. If it's two people, it'll probably be a lot smoother. And then they're saying if two people is working and a third person was just to handle the reinstallment pieces of the vehicle, that may be a team. And depending on how much business you have, that may be something that could work. So if you have, let's do it like this. If you only have one vehicle, well, one person can do it. If you got two vehicles, then at that point, two people can go through and do two of them faster than one person will probably do one of them. And then if you have three people, then doing two, you still might have enough money to pay someone else, depending on that third person probably is not going to get paid as much as the people who are handling the material, because the people handling the material, they're handling something that can cost up to $900, really up to $1,000. So if there's something that's more personal, it could cost like $200 something. But if you are dealing with a professional grade, it will be it's going to cost more. All right, so mask off any areas that will not be wrapped, such as trim, lights, and door handles, if they have not already been removed. So if you don't want to remove your items, you can take the masking tape and you can put the masking tape over the items that you're not planning on vinyling out. So that means that, let's say that instead of you want the original color off of the handles, well, you just tape off that, and that would be the way you do it. This prevents the film from bonding to these areas during installation and adds easier repositioning. Next note. Measure and cut the first panel of material. When handling very large pieces of film, it might be helpful to install one half at a time. Using a back slitting knife, remove half of the liner and finish this half before moving to the next. So that is a true statement. It's better to do it in parts. So let's just say that you are a beginner. Instead of you trying to do the whole side, you might want to just do the front part, the doors, and then you might want to do the back if you are a beginner versus somebody who is more skilled. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get back to it. As most films are directional, always make sure to apply with the logos on the linear facing the same way. A rotation of 90 degrees may take the film appear. A rotation 90 degrees may make the film appear to be different shades. So but that's one thing I do notice about the colors. It's almost like a magic trick in a sense. So we went over that. So clean panel as detailed in point 2. Remove protective release liner at an angle of about 30 to 40 degree angle immediately prior to application. This ensures there is limited chance of the material picking up dust. So this is the liner that I was referring to that was going to be white or vanilla that's supposed to be protecting it, and they're saying it's supposed to be at a 30 or 40 degree angle is the angle you're supposed to go for, and you're supposed to try to make sure that the material from the adhesive side to the door or to the bumper or the hood or whatever you're applying the surface to does not have the opportunity to get in between, because you will be able to see that in future when it's laid down. When working with KPMF's absolute matte products, it is recommended that users exercise additional caution to prevent marks on the surface of the film, as the delicate finish of the absolute range can be easily marked if not handled with care and precaution. Okay, so it's telling you to use caution and make sure you're using your wits about you. Keeping the material taut by handling both top corners. Offer the material up to the panel and taking the predominant swag line work horizontally down the panel using a squeegee in horizontal strokes. When the area below the swag line is completely worked horizontally upwards, use as little tension as possible when applying the film. So this is the handling technique that we need to be using, and it's basically saying you need to make sure that we're keeping the material up with on the corners, both top corners, and that when we're squeegeeing it, these are the techniques that they're saying. They're saying like in order to work the swag line horizontal, you have to use a squeegee in a horizontal strokes, and then all right, next note: apply broad overlapping horizontal strokes using a soft squeegee to secure the large areas of material. Ignore recesses for the moment. The unique adhesive will allow air bubbles to be dispersed easily. If any large bubbles become trapped or a crease appears, then warm the vinyl surface. Tap the material away from the vehicle and then re-squeegee it. So that's that little kind of technique that they're going over. where it's trying to get the bubbles out. So my understanding is best to go from inside to outside. Then when you are to the ends and you have those little stretch marks, you kind of lift it up, and then you may apply a little heat, but at the same time you don't want to toast it up. So next note, when wrapping using material produced on air release liner, it is essential that the whole surface is thoroughly squeegeed during application. Paying particular attention to large areas such as the roof and bonnet. See point 3.2 for full instructions on applying KPMF VWS with air release liner. So, okay, that's just, yeah. Always complete each section before beginning to wrap the next section. If material is left on an area without finishing at some point during the wrapping, when completing at a later stage, this could result in noticeable stretch marks on the completed wrap. And this is kind of like you taking your time doing part by part. I recall one time me and one of my other partners, when me and my partner, we were taking care of like a paint job, I can say. And my partner's like, "Hey man, let's go." And I'm sitting there like, "Nah, I like to finish out." But we left, and the next day the cleanup was horrendous. Why, if we just stayed and took care of it, it would have took us a quarter of the time. And then it made us do even more time because painting the window sills, and we kind of painted, and I was just saying like, "Hey man, let's go ahead and knock it out." He was like, no. I was like, "Okay, all right, you the boss, let's do it." And after that, we had to work double up. So, when we're dealing with this kind of stuff, this kind of material, that's what this reminds me of, where if you're dealing with paint, you don't sit around and let paint mature, because once paint mature, at this point now it has stretch marks. So it's best to do part by part, especially if you are new to doing it or you're novice. If you are more skilled and you know that you're not going to have any distractions, at that point, boom, boom. Because if you have distractions, that's why I can see you messing up. All right. Where recesses and stepped changes of sections are encountered, the film should be laid or fed into and around these sections. Apply as little tension as possible. See point 3.3 on application into a recess. Use a hard squeegee edge to ensure that the material is well adhered to the internal angles returns to the recesses. Note, if using heat, use only the minimum amount of heat required, 35 to 45 Celsius, to make the film soften, relax, and work in small areas, stretching the vinyl applied to the flat section. Finally, heat the film again in these areas to 100 Celsius to ensure the adhesive is fully activated and the vinyl is set. This will help achieve ultimate adhesion in these difficult areas. So what we're going to do, we are going to continue on, but we're not going to be reading any more of this, because now I feel like we are looking at the heat gun portion, and that's what we're going to come back into. So for right now, we're going to worry about the vehicle applications to be able to determine what kind of wrap that you like. And the two that I came up with was Artist Forge, where I have a Camry that's a 2016. So the color scheme that I'm looking at, like depending on, let's say I wanted to make it blue, I'll come over here, and then I have white, black, and blue, and then we're gonna come up with whatever kind of color that's gonna make my Camry pop. So I'm going for a gray color, So this is gonna be the when I'm done wrapping my my Camry, which is gonna be my first big project outside of small home item projects, because by the time I'm done, you might even see Stanley look a little different, you know. But that's only because I like practicing before I waste a lot of money and prepping, because this stuff ain't cheap. So if you are interested in looking at your vehicle in greater depths as far as different colors and get whatever kind of ideal you want, they have the glossy color, the metallic, the matte, and then this gold probably is more like a chrome. All right. And you can go to Art is Forged, and then they even have a wheel builder where you can then essentially look at the rims you're going to be putting on. And let's say, because the thing is, when we are doing a lot of these customized jobs, we can also put them on the rims itself. So in this case, if we wanted to go with that gray that's on the way, it would look something like this if we had a wheel like this. So there is the yeah. So you can save it as well. And then steering wheels. Let's see if they got what they got for steering wheels. So I guess this is just them offering you steering wheels. So if you wanted to order steering wheels for your whip, because let's face it, once you start upgrading your vehicle and everything like that, you know, you might not look like this car right here, like an old school, but you're most likely are going to start wanting to match. You know, you want to make the whatever you got match whatever you got going on. So at this point, so this is Art is Forged. Y'all can go ahead and go and play on that one. The second one that we can use to kind of see what's going on is called 3D Turning. All right, this is 3dtuning.com. If you go to their site, you're gonna be able to pick your vehicle. Again, I'm working with a Camry, and theirs is slightly different, but at the same time, it allows for a lot of amazing things. As you see right here, I'm able to get a customized fender, or in this case, I'm looking for my fender technically, and then after that, you can then touch whatever you're trying to change it to the wheels, to the rear bumper, side skirts, headlights, tail lights, the eye lips, the roof spoilers. All right, then we're back to the spoilers, to the hood. All right, and then the intake hood, side mirrors. So essentially, it's whatever you want to do to your vehicle. This right here will be able to help you out. And I know I'll never do this, but we're going to do it anyway. Just because, you know, the thing is, when you see somebody in a Camry, you're not going to see somebody who's going to speed. And the reason why they're not speed is because they did not buy the Camry to go 100 miles per hour. Camrys are not meant for that. Camrys are meant to go 500,000 miles. That's what they're meant for. But yeah, so that's something that I understand. Like, most people real speedsters, so what they expected was like a Camaro, a Mustang, something that's like grand. But I'm a Camry type dude. I like to travel. But yeah, so let's go ahead, and now we're gonna get into just watching a few of the experts getting it done. But just to recap, those are the two websites or applications that you can use to customize your vehicle before doing it, because the last thing you want to do is customize with a color that you think is cool and then it's not. And that'll be the 3dtuning.com, and as well as artisforged.com. So let's go ahead and now watch we're probably gonna watch two. How much time have we done? Yeah, we're probably gonna watch 2 of these videos. One is about 8 minutes. The other one's about 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into some more stuff. Because remember, we do have a ASE brake and engine online course that was going on too. So right after this, we're gonna get to that, and then we're gonna get back into the rapping. So in the rapping is gonna be three sessions. As far as the ASC is gonna be 2 sessions a day. So let's go ahead and make haste.
What's up, my friends? Welcome back to Chicago Auto Pros. We're here on a Sunday, and we're with our friend Justin Pate. We wouldn't be here on a Sunday unless Justin Pate was in town, so you're special. Here we're going to showcase your new product, Triple S. Yep. We're going to showcase a new Avery Dennison film. Yes. And we're going to work on a few different cars and go over techniques and just have some fun with you today.
Exactly. It's all about having fun, and for me, it's a super big honor to be here with your crew. Amazing what you guys are doing. Great reputation. Everywhere I go right now, I say, I'm going to Chicago Auto Pros this weekend. People are like, oh my God, they're amazing. So we're a big deal.
All right, let's get to work.
Now you're going to take Triple S. What you want to do is you want to go from one side to the other. And in this case, you want to generously spray it on. I want ultimate coverage right now with Triple S. On some materials that maybe have a really low initial tap, I'll just put it on the body line to the high points and maybe the slight curves. Once I put Triple S on the main area, it's extremely important right now is to come back with degreaser. In this case, panel white. And because I sprayed it generously on the surface, I'm going to do what we call Ducky Street. Focus 360. What I do sometimes is help us do one more little polish on the body line. Because body line is where you get most of your sanding. So I'll put one little second coat on the high side, one little second coat on the high side here, especially the front. As I pull the material down, I sometimes get a little dots right there. So I'll just put a little second coat right there. And I'm telling you, it's a huge difference. So this for me is make up Triple S. The ultimate slip. Show how to pick it up. So it's kind of like it has a higher initial tap. So I'm going to put this on and just kind of spray and slide.
So you notice the way he handled the material, he was getting on the opposite sides and he was like stretching it out diagonally towards himself. So that's some of the handling technique.
See how it sits on top of the wrap really good. It just allows me to kind of just flow the material and we get way less pressure. And getting that nice flow, peace of mind, and just not having to work very hard. But also I know that this is a gloss black film and it's extremely sensitive to scratches. So right now, because I can put this on, I don't have to work very hard, plus I know 5% for sure, and I'm not getting any scratches on this very sensitive film. I'm just being super patient with the airbrush. Letting this stuff breathe. What I'm doing is I'm kind of working the film around the edge. So you can see it from that here. So what I'll do is I'll just do a 360 cut. Again, I'm just doing quick, dirty, nasty cuts. My wife loves. So you can see that I use Triple S pretty much everywhere. And I'm very, very, very zero sanding here. But you can see it right here where I missed a little spot. I get sandy, but everywhere else I don't get sandy. And here on the edge where I took, and I'm running too, where I took the panel work, I don't went too deep and you can see some. So as soon as you go down sections with Triple S, instantly. So you really have to be, it's almost like now that I'm thinking about it, just clean the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Don't even clean the tops and make sure it's 100%, because I mean, you can see how fucking sensitive this material is to sanding. Everything else that has triple S, super smooth. Anything that doesn't have triple S, so you have to be super focused on coating, because you're going to get that.
So we are going to be wrapping. What's the color? So we're going to be wrapping the hood in obsidian, and it's bakery obsidian. So we're going to be wrapping the hood on our TSX with obsidian, black, bakery denison. And we're going to be doing chrome domain on the side. It's going to fucking sink. Very, very cool product. I'm really liking it. Put it on. Very simple. Spray on. Wipe it off. Back and kind of do a very light polish on it. But if you want to make the product complicated, it's going to make the install process the smell. Well, it smells like strawberries for sure. There's a hint of lemonade in there, and there's a hint of like Caribbean, weekend, like you're having a good time, you know. A little bit of that in there. So it's, yeah, it smells really good.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
So you stopped right here where there's a break. Would you ever not stop there? Or you have two separate pieces? Because it's like, it's a break, but I don't think it's meant to be a break, you know? Because it's pretty smooth. Like you could almost just go over it though, right?
You could, but it's also, well, it's also, for me, it's also in Chicago. It's going to get cold, and if it bridges that gap, it's going to crack. Yeah, so if this was in Florida, I'd probably go over one piece. But I think for here, just because of here, I think that for me is freaky, and I think that would break, because the car is going to shift, and then you might get wrinkles, then it's going to get dirt because it's a high access point. So I think it's always better to cut. It's almost like box trucks and trailers. They have different panels, and I see a lot of us always bridge over it and leave it, but then water fills the gap and then it pops out. So it's the same thing as I always cut it. If there's a break, I cut it.
Kind of feels like installing PPF.
Yeah,
It's so slippery now.
exactly.
Yeah. I like that. You just picked it up like that, and you probably don't have a line. Do you have a line? That's crazy.
That's the thing too. No lines, no dusting. I just think it's better than anything out there by far. I don't think there's anything close.
So sometimes even in paint protection film, let's say it's sticking really bad,
Yeah.
we just use that, wipe it down, and spray water, lay it down, it works
Really?
super good.
So Triple S works for PPF too?
Yeah.
I like to hear that. So one cool extra benefit of Triple S, Jason was saying that we should call it like quadruple S, is the idea is that what's not only is good for under the wrap on your squeegee and then on the wrap for 6 months, is most aftercare products for wrap, once you spray it on the window, it kind of leaves a big haze. You have to come in with alcohol or a special window cleaner. But what's really cool about Triple S is the fact that it actually dries instantly and doesn't leave any streaks. So for me, in terms of aftercare for wrapping, not only am I putting Triple S on the wrap, but I'm also putting Triple S on the window to remove any handprint so I don't have to grab another bottle. And I can actually wipe down the inside of the car. So it's great for interior, it's great for glass, and it's especially good for your wrap. So that's why Triple S is amazing. So I don't have to have 3 or 4 different products, just have one, and it smells good.
Thank you to Justin, thank you to Eric, thank you to Albie, E-Man for coming in on a Sunday and hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's it.
Here are some of the tools we use to wrap vehicles. You'll need squeegees and gloves to lay down the film, To cut the film, you'll need your blade and knifeless tape. Of course, having a heat gun is an absolute must. To hold down your film, you'll need some magnetic holders, the more the better. And obviously, you'll need your choice of film to wrap your vehicle. But remember, no matter how many tools or products you have or what brand you're using, you're not gonna get better if you don't go out there and actually try.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all hanging out and trying to figure out how to become a better rapper. Becoming a better rapper. Yes, when I was looking at the video, a few things came to mind. I noticed that they really was trying to sell that triple S product, and they were saying, well, it works interior, exterior, on windows. You know, they was kind of trying to say, like, even on the fabric, you be able to hit it with that and clean it with that. And I'm like, how much is it? That's what I'm thinking, because technically speaking, when they're talking about having only one spray they need to worry about versus 3, they're on the money. I'm not even gonna lie. But besides that, what I was saying was a few of their techniques that they were using, that was pretty good. That was spot on. And one of the other things I was noticing from here that I didn't notice before, because right now I'm just mentioning things that I have not noticed. So if you notice something, leave it in a comment or something of that nature. But at the same time, the black leaves easy to leave marks. And so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and bid you adieu. We'll be back later on, probably like an hour, probably around like 12:30. That's what time, because we do have a hour session that's about to occur right now, dealing with ASE brakes in engine repair. That exam, this is preparation for that exam. Of course, you are free to join us on that, but until next time, we're just gonna have to bid you. We're gonna have to go. Let's go ahead and zoom out then. Let's do it.